Be here today. So my son's team had their last soccer game today, and she's actually dead on. Yes, the season is over. Thank you. Well, but you know, it was good. They played really well. I was really happy with them. And it's one of those times that, you know, we were done with the game and I was ready to say, see you at practice on Monday, because I was pretty excited. I thought they really played well. And here we are kind of at the end of it is the end of the season. So we lost 2-1. Wow. But the first time we played this team, they beat us 9-2. Wow. So they had one kid who scored like 5 or 6 goals on us. 0 today. I was like, hey, see that kid? Take him out. There's yellow cards and red cards for a reason. Am I right, people? I should coach the Browns. Yes, you're right. I like your thinking. I like your thinking. Now there's actually a high school team. Don't get me off track here, right? But there's a high school team that I just saw the newspaper article this week from state of Washington. They're actually so big. The next 3 teams on their schedule have all already forfeited against them. Wow. Yes. Yeah. Maybe we could just get them to play for the Browns. I don't know. But so they've been talking. They spent all summer long getting ready, and their linemen are like over like 6'4", 300 plus pounds, and the other teams are just scared of getting hurt playing them. So. Weird. All right. So we are doing the places you'll go. So what we're doing is talking about these opportunities God gives us, and a lot of times we like to call those opportunities open doors. Sometimes maybe a door is closed, sometimes a door is open. I was talking to somebody after the morning service, and she said, you know, I really appreciated your message last week because, you know, sometimes we're grabbing onto a door and we're trying to open it, and God's saying, not that door. This door over here is wide open for you. We want you over there. So she said it really stuck with her this week as she's looking for a job and just finished her schooling and stuff like that. So I was like, cool, you know, I really love to hear those stories when you think about it, you know, throughout the week or you have something like that. So tonight we're going to talk about ready or not. Ready or not. Remember playing those games as a kid and you count to 10 and then when you're done, you know, ready or not, here I come. Ready or not. So I hope you're ready or not, because here's my jokes. Okay. Nice segue there, huh? Now last week I thought you enjoyed the knock-knock jokes pretty good. You know, nice applause around those. But so we went into a different area, no knock-knock jokes today. Okay. Well, I think you're about knock-knock, you know. Yeah, we can go out for that. Okay. All right, ready? Why can't 2 bicycles stand up on their own? They're too tired, yeah. Don't take my punchline. 2 cows are standing in the field and one says to the other, aren't you worried about mad cow disease? And he responds, not at all, I'm a helicopter. I wondered why the Frisbee was getting bigger, then it hit me. Did you hear about the 2 guys that stole a calendar? Yeah, they both got 6 months. 2 guys, 6 months. Shannon's just shaking her head at me. A little smile. I saw a little smile. All right, and lastly, when my grandfather turned 65, he started running 5 miles a day to keep fit. He's 70, and now we have no idea where he is. Okay, we should have stopped with the 6-month one, right? Okay. 6-month one. Ready or not? Here we go. Ready or not? All right. So as we talk about our doors and our opportunities that God brings us, offers us in life, it really connects with our faith. Because see, faith and an open door mindset really go together. Really go together. Faith is what we hope for and that we do not see, right? That's our faith in God, our belief in God that He will take care of us. Same thing with the open door mindset is we might see a door opening in our life and we have no idea what's on the other side. Is it going to be smooth? Is it going to be rough? What's on the other side? But we do have to believe that God has put that door there for us to walk through. And so as we look at it, our faith and an open door mindset really go together quite nicely. And it's pretty easy to get a closed door mindset, right? To not want to go through it. But let's look at this statement here, and let's all just say this one together here. Would you read this out loud with me? Ready? I'm open to new doors tomorrow because God is already there. There it is. So these new door opportunities God has created for us. And, God is ahead of us, paving the way. God is beside us, protecting us. And God's behind us, completely surrounded us. So these new doors that show up in our life, whether it's through job, through family, through relationships, through friends, however they appear, we can be certain that God has already had a hand in it. And we can go into it with knowing that in our mind, just like our faith had. We get it. We might not understand it. It doesn't make any sense right now, but we know God is behind it. So what we need to do is we got to look at that closed door way of looking at God. We need to abandon that closed door way of looking at God, looking at our own lives, even ourselves, if we are to be able to respond to the open door. Because what happens is we can look at get that closed door mentality, which is kind of stuck in your way of doing things. You're not open to anything new. You're not going to try anything new. So closed door thinking really limits us. Here we are. This is all we're at. And that kind of, working with God and trusting God doesn't really connect with closed door thinking. So we have to be ready and trust that God is going to do something with us, right? So closed door thinking, but don't worry. I've fallen into closed door thinking at times, right? This isn't going to work. I don't even know why I should try this. It takes too much time. Forget about it, right? It's easy to fall into that. What we want to do is make sure we don't just fall into that and stay there. It happens, but just so you know, you're not alone. There's plenty of examples of closed door thinking in the Bible, right? So let's look at just a couple of these here. So David's brother saying that Goliath can't be fought. Now remember Goliath, he was like a 8 or 9 foot tall guy, and this big beast that took on the whole army. He said, come on, if you can't beat me, Somebody told me a joke about that, Goliath. Something about a rock that hit him right in the head. It was a good joke though, trust me. It was a good joke. All right, but so Goliath, and then David was this small, puny guy. And even his brothers were like, don't go out there, you'll get absolutely destroyed. And they said, no. See, that was that closed door thinking. No, you can't beat them. You're too small. You can't beat them. More closed door thinking. The Israelites telling Joshua and Caleb that their enemies are like giants, and the Israelites are like grasshoppers. So they should return to Egypt and to slavery. Return to Egypt and return to slavery. That would be better than anything else. That's the closed door thinking. I'm kind of thinking, if I took that approach with my soccer team of these young kids, 12, 13, 14 years old, and said, that other team's way too big. We're not going to win. What would they do? They wouldn't even try. They would just give up. That's closed door mentality. Right? Don't bring the Browns into this. They got enough to deal with. Closed door thinking says the rich ruler deciding that discipleship would be nice, but it's a little overpriced. It's a little overpriced. So yeah, he wants it. Yeah, he thinks it's important, but not that important, right? So that's our closed door thinking. So we look at Revelation 3:8. Now that's the verse we looked at, and we see that this is the angel of God speaking that says, I have set before you an open door. So God has placed this before you. Are you ready to step through it? You see, an open door is a beginning. It's an opportunity, but it has no guaranteed ending. An open door is just an opportunity to get started in something. And that's what I really think is neat about God, is that He will present these opportunities to us, but He does not force us to do them, right? So you can have open door after open door after open door in front of you, but it's still up to each of us individually to get through that open door. What's that?
Have the motivation to do it?
Yeah, yes, and the motivation, absolutely. The trust of God too, right? Like,
Yes.
I know this is a God thing. I know this door. I know this moment in time where I'm standing at is right from God, right? Yep. Joshua 3, 15, 16. I like this story here. It says the Jordan, the Jordan River is what we're talking about here. And when you think of a river, I'm not talking of a stream. I'm not talking about a simple lake that's nice and smooth and calm. Think of a raging river. Wide, extremely wide. You can't just throw a rock over it. It's wide. And then it even says here, during harvest season, it's overflowing. There's so much rain that has come. The banks of the Jordan River are overflowing. So Joshua comes to this point where he needs to get across it. And God gives him some direction here. So it says, when the priests who were carrying the ark came to the edge of the Jordan River and set foot in the water stopped flowing from upstream. So that's what happened. When the water stopped flowing upstream, they were able to cross on dry land. Talk about an open door opportunity. But take note of, go back one more. Thank you. Take note of the way it happens, right? They're carrying the ark, and they set foot in the water. So that comes first. Then the water stopped flowing upstream. Who would be much more likely to cross the stream if the stream stopped flowing first? Yeah. Right? No, that's not what God said. God said, go ahead and get in. Step in first. And then the water's going to stop. So you might have to set your feet in the water before going through an open door. God might be saying, hey, you're close. Go ahead, step in. Let me handle the rest of this. We'll talk about trust there, huh? You're feeling that nudge of the Holy Spirit. You're feeling that nudge of God to go ahead and step whatever area of life it is for you. And then you feel that you finally take that first step. Now the water is stopped. And then you see God begin to do His work. As I read through this, I kind of got visual. I'm a visual guy, so I try to come up with these images of it. To me, it reminded me of those doors that you walk up to, and they open, they shut automatically. Right? You guys man those? Or better yet, the doors where you go up and you pretend you're a Jedi from Star Wars and you go like that. Come on, you've done it, haven't you? Right? Yeah. I've done it. Because, those doors open automatically, which are great, if you're in the right spot, right? So just like God said, get in the water and it'll stop. That door's not going to open if you're too far away from it. But if you get yourself up to the right spot, whether it's standing on that thing or in the eye of that thing, then it's going to open up and then you can walk through it. So I don't know, maybe you're seeing a door, but you're just not quite close enough yet. Maybe you're seeing an opportunity, but you just haven't stepped into it yet to see what's going to happen. Open door opportunity. This summer we got to travel down to Williamsburg, Virginia, right? I almost said West Virginia, that's not right. So Williamsburg is a really cool town if you haven't been there. It's like a recreation of the 1700s, and they have buildings, they have people in character, they have people with guns. We joined the militia while we were down there, and cannons, and a really, really cool time. Characters walking around giving speeches, and it was really neat. Very hands-on, you can play the games with them, you can interact with the people. It was really cool. Well, we came up to this one area here, like they had the blacksmith and the horseshoe person. This was the brick maker. So as we were watching them how they make bricks out of this clay and water together, they said, hey, do you want to help us make bricks? And Grace said, yeah, what do I need to do? They said, take off your shoes and socks and start walking around in that. So that is as deep as it looks. It's as nasty as it looks. It's as mucky and dirty, and she did not fall over. Both of my sons were really cheering her on to fall over. And I was videotaping the whole thing just in case she did fall over. But she did. So we tried it. But it's kind of neat as I was thinking about tonight's lesson, that if you don't get in there and start stomping around like you can, you don't make the bricks. If you have no bricks, you have no roads, right? You have no bricks, you have no buildings. So getting our feet wet is very much like what God's asking us to do. Get in so that I can build. Get in so I can have a cornerstone. Get in so that we can set this plan in motion. So what God is asking us is God requires obedience. God requires obedience. I typed that up when I was getting my notes together. I said, God requires obedience. And then I looked at those first three letters, grow, right? I thought, wow, what a neat thing. When we obey God and listen to God, we grow in our faith. God requires obedience. So if God is saying, step in the water, go for it. Step in the water. See how our faith ties into that. So we've got to be ready for God to open doors in our lives. Now, in the Bible, when God spoke to people and said, would you do this for me? Very rarely, if ever, the answer was, yes, I'm ready. Right? It was more of, here's a whole bunch of reasons why I can't do it instead. And I can say the whole thing, as I go to my pastor classes and talk with other people, leading churches and stuff, none of them said I was ready the first time God talked to them. Or God said, hey, why don't you lead this church? Hey, why don't you go into preaching? They're always like, no, not me. I'm not ready. I know our youth director, Mark, and I talked to him. He said it was 42 years. I can't believe you're that old, Mark. Really? 42 years. Yeah, right. 42 years before he said yes to getting into ministry. My friend Chuck down here has been fighting God off for how many years, right? How many years? God saying, hey, I need you in ministry. The same thing with me when I got called into ministry. No, I'm not ready. You got the wrong guy. Hold on. Not yet. Again, we see in the Bible examples of people answering the same way. Moses in Exodus says, I've never been eloquent. I'm slow of speech and tongue. He's saying, I'm not ready. Right? Gideon said, how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I'm the least in my family. So he's saying, I'm not ready. Closed door mindset, right? I'm the smallest, the weakest, I can't do it. Abraham said, will a son be born to a man 100 years old? You gotta love the questioning of God, right? The creator of everything we see. He says, really, I'm too old. No, this is God. This is God. Jeremiah said, alas, sovereign Lord, I'm too young. I'm too young. I'm not ready. Isaiah says, woe to me, for I am a man of unclean lips. They weren't ready, right? When God came and called. But you see, are you ready for an open door? Are you ready so that when God says, hey, I need you to do this, you're good to go? Instead of, well, maybe next week, maybe next month, maybe when soccer season's done, I'll have a little more time, right? Or maybe when work lightens up, I'll be ready, right? Maybe when I retire, I'll be ready. Because from what I've heard, you retired people, you're way more busier now than you ever were when you're working, am I right? No? Yeah. Right? So going through an open door means we might have to remove some idols to get to that door. We might have some things placed in our lives right now that we look at so preciously that they're in our way. And usually when we talk about idols, we think of those big stone, those big gold statues that we read about, in the Bible a long time ago. And we don't have those idols around here anymore. I don't see those a lot anymore, but I see a lot of stuff now that's not in the Bible that we look at as idols, right? Our money, our finances, our homes, our sports, right? Stuff like that. But look at how I worded this. Going through an open door means removing idols to get to the door. You see, idols do not remove themselves. We need to do that. Whatever's in our way, we need to take action and remove that idol. It might be something personal, it might be something with family, it might be something at work, whatever it is. But we have to remove it. Those idols are in the way on purpose. They're put there by the enemy to stop us from having a relationship with God. Stop us from enjoying God's life. Stop us from moving to an open door. We need to figure out what we need to do to remove idols. Exodus 20 says, do not make any gods to be alongside of you. They get in the way. They get in the way. So, our doors this week, as we go through life, through family, through friends, through work, what opportunities are there? Do you feel one saying, hey, step in, and then you're going to see what God's going to do with that first step of faith, right? Our first leap. So if you have an open door mindset, and you are ready, God still calls people. God has given you everything you need. You don't need anything extra. This great opportunity, this God opportunity, this open door is ready for you. You know the places you'll go when God's leading. Let's have a little prayer tonight. Dear God, we're so thankful to be here together. So thankful for this time to sit back and relax and to think and to just be with you. As we go through our life this week, Lord, help us to really be sensitive to these open doors where you are working in our life. And maybe even be sensitive to these things, these idols that we put in our way. These the idols of our time, or maybe being a little too lazy to be an idol, or working so much that we don't have time for it. Whatever it is, God, make that known to us so that we can remove it, so that we can work on it. Lord, help us to never be afraid to take that step, to step into the water. We read it in the Bible, the stories that you step into the water and then the river stopped. Lord, we believe that you can still do that today. Help us in our faith, Lord. Help us to be strong. Help us to believe. Help us to know that you have set this for us. And we can trust you. Help us to be obedient, to grow in our faith. Because, Lord, we know what you have planned for us is amazing. It's unbelievable. It's something we can't even comprehend. We have never even thought of it. Lord, help us to be ready when you call and say, hey, take this step. Lord, we thank you for everyone here tonight. Thank you for the work they're doing in their family and their friends and their communities just to change this world. We ask your blessings on them. Lord, as we go through this week, help us to grow closer to you. Help us to bring others closer to you so that everyone may know your peace, your love, and your joy in their hearts.